What's up?
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Wrestle Recap. I'm Justin Tate.
My name is Michelle Tate.
That's right. Who are we? Yeah, that's right. We're brother and sister. And we're the only brother and sister who's taken you on a journey of wrestling throughout the decades, pay-per-view by pay-per-view. And it's so much fun.
It really is. We have a great time doing it. And we share DNA. That's pretty cool because not a lot of people who do wrestling podcasts do, Justin.
Yeah, Dave Meltzer is not Brian Alvarez's dad. I mean,
are you starting rumors?
No, I'm not at all. Not at all. No. I'm the dirtiest of sheets.
Ew. Those sheets that haven't been washed and they got all the little crusties and stuff on them.
Whoa. That's
Let's get
into current wrestling. Yeah. So when this episode releases on Sunday, we will be 6 days out from the first day one of WrestleMania 41. And we've now watched the first 6 WrestleManias here on Wrestle Recap. So I want to ask you, what's one thing from past WrestleManias that you would love to see return at this weekend's WrestleMania?
Roddy Piper. No, I'm just kidding. You're going to think I'm weird, but I kind of liked it better as one night.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I get the stretching it over too. It just kind of seems like a money grab to me, which is fine. And I understand you want to give everyone like big main events, but I almost feel like now they've kind of screwed themselves because it's like they need to have all these storylines wrapping up at WrestleMania. And people have been complaining, like, oh, the stories suck this year and stuff. And it's like, because you have to fill 2 nights instead of 1.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I do prefer it on one night as well. If it were just Saturday night, I would be happy as a clam. The problem is like, it went from them saying Royal Rumble, you get a title shot if you win, to Royal Rumble, you get to main event WrestleMania. Well, now we have like several things that could be the main event, and we only have 2 nights. So it's a little quirk there. I'll tell you what I'd like to see return, the ring carts.
Those are my favorite. Like
it's always a huge entrance at WrestleMania now because they do it in these huge stadiums. Bring back the ring carts.
For real. I mean, because I really like them and they're funny to me, but also those arenas, they're huge and it takes for freaking ever. Like, especially when you're slow, like Roman or someone, you got to run a 5K just to get to the freaking ring.
Yeah, I know.
But again, I think it's because they're fluffing this WrestleMania with 2 nights with stuff that wastes time. Because if you think about it, like there is a lot that goes on that's not wrestling or wrestling related. You've got random music artists and celebrity bits and stuff like that.
Well, and if you'll remember, the original reason that it went to 2 nights was because of COVID. Remember, it was like right before WrestleMania when they had no audiences and they did WrestleMania from the Performance Center. And they said, hey, how about this? It's going to suck. So we're going to do 2 nights to make it up to you. And then it just stayed.
I didn't realize that was when it started or how. I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, there's all these rules and stuff that have happened because of COVID. And I'm like, maybe you should go back to like before COVID because it doesn't work anymore. But I mean, I'm excited for WrestleMania. Of course, I'll watch it. I was not about to attend for those ridiculous ticket prices. Just because, and that's what I want to tell people. Like, I don't want to sound like a douche, but like, I have a master's in business. I do pretty well for myself. I can afford expensive tickets. I don't see the value in it. And that's their problem. Like there are people who are throwing it on credit card or whatever. Good for them. But like, it's pretty bad when there's people who can afford the tickets, but I'm just like, I'm not going to pay that much money to sit in the nosebleeds because that's greedy and that's dumb.
Yeah. No, I agree that it's easy to get priced out of the market right now in the wrestling world. And who knows that? I mean, that's what makes some of the smaller promotions more attractive to go to, right? You could go to a TNA show for a fraction of what you could go to WrestleMania.
I saw that AEW is doing some deal right now where they're selling tickets for $25. And like, if you buy 5, you get a 6th free or something. And people were complaining about it on Twitter, but like Sean Ross Sapp retweeted, he was like, I don't see a problem with this at all. I think this is great. So
more fans in the building.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, along with WrestleMania comes all the festivities around it, all the things that they do. It's a huge, huge week that we are embarking on here in the wrestling world. And this Friday night is the WWE Hall of Fame. And I always love the Hall of Fame. So how do we feel about this year's inductees? I'm going to go through these one by one and just give me your quick thoughts, okay?
Okay.
Triple H.
I mean, it's fine. Cool. I probably, if I were him, would have wanted to wait until I was not the main booker. I don't know
Right.
why, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well deserved, I think. I mean, the timing's a little weird since he just took over creative in the past year or
Mhm.
two. A little weird, but that's okay. I mean, the guy's done a lot in the business. Michelle McCool.
That's one that I'm like, okay, that's fine. I feel like we are running low on women to pick from. So yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, there are other women I personally would have picked ahead of her, but
Mhm.
that's okay. Lex Luger.
This is the best one. I don't know how it hasn't already happened. Good for him. This is my favorite. Absolutely. He should have been in it 15 years ago.
Yeah, agreed. Completely on all counts. Another couple of guys who should have been in it years ago, the natural disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon, who we've already seen Earthquake and we've seen Typhoon, but as Tugboat.
Right. No, I think this is great as well. A lot of these names that I'm seeing this year, I'm just like, how are they not in it before? So was it truly a Vince thing?
A lot of it, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was either up to different lawsuits or he didn't want too many people who either had died or couldn't get around well. He didn't want that image
Wow.
that's what the WWF did to them.
Wow.
So yeah, it's about time. Now, for the first time this year, WWE is doing something that UFC has already done for a while for their Hall of Fame, and that is inducting a match into the Hall
Yeah.
of Fame. This year, the first one is Bret Hart versus Steve Austin, the submission match from WrestleMania 13, which I don't know if you remember this one, but that classic shot of Steve Austin being in the sharpshooter, blood streaming down his face, and he will not give up to the point where he just passes out. And that's what ends the match. It turns Bret Hart from a good guy into a bad guy, and Steve Austin from a bad guy into a good guy. Great pick.
Oh yeah, it is a great pick. I'm not gonna lie, I will every year think it's gonna be the Hell in the Cell with Mick Foley
Yeah.
and Undertaker. Every year I'm gonna think that's what it's gonna be. But no, that is a great pick. I'm just kind of baffled that it was WrestleMania 13 because like we've watched like our next one will be WrestleMania 7, and I feel like we are so far from the Stone Cold Steve Austin era right
Yeah.
now. So it's
Isn't that
weird.
weird? It's
Yeah.
so wild. But we're about to go through some crazy stuff. And then in the legacy wing, which usually the legacy wing is like, here's some people who deserve a mention. They
Honorable
aren't
mention.
able to be inducted because they have passed away, and some of them a long time ago. Kamala, the Ugandan giant. I remember watching Kamala as a kid and thinking he was kind of goofy, but he was around forever.
Yeah, and before we got on here, I was like, why is Kamala on here thinking of the vice president? But once you said no, it's the guy with the quote stars on his chi-chis. I was like, yes, okay, I remember him.
Yeah.
He probably, man, like I wish we had a stat on him on when his last show was, because I mean I remember him when I was young.
Yeah. Well, we also have in the legacy wing Dory Funk Sr. We've seen Dory Funk Jr. and Terry Funk on these pay-per-views, but their dad, Dory Funk Sr., the guy who started the Amarillo territory way back when, also very, very deserving, I think, a big name in the wrestling world for a long time, and so were his sons. And then finally in the legacy wing, a guy that we've seen on our pay-per-views, Ivan Koloff. How about that?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And it's funny because he's been on the NWA WCW shows, right? Or at least he was in the
Right.
beginning. So I associate him with that side, not
Yeah.
WWE. But no, it's really cool. I really
Yeah,
like
and
it.
every now and then they'll get somebody in there who either barely worked for WWE or sometimes never did, but their contributions to wrestling were just that great. So good to see that one.
Here's my question, and I'm
Yeah.
brain farting hardcore. Sting has never been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, has he?
Yes, he
He did?
was. He did, where he announced his retirement.
Haha, that's cute. Because obviously not. But
Yeah.
man, how did I forget about that? Do you think was that in like
It
2012?
was, nah, I don't know if it's that far back, sometime in the 2010s, though.
Oh, well, we all know that he couldn't stay retired for long because he ended up in AEW. But speaking of AEW, Justin, before we get into today's show, I have just got to ask you how you felt about the super controversial ending of AEW Dynasty when Jon Moxley defended his title and beat Swerve Strickland. What did you think of that?
I thought the same thing that the majority of the internet thinks. Whoa, why? Why? It's over. It's done. Stop.
On this week's AEW Dynamite, the one that followed Dynasty, they came out and, Moxley was there and then the Young Bucks came out at the same time. And Swerve wasn't anywhere near, but the crowd started saying, "Whose house? Swerve's house." And I'm like, if that doesn't tell you something, Tony, we want Swerve. Swerve's my fave.
I don't know what they're waiting for. But anyway, what do you say we fire up this time machine, knock the rust off, and let's do an old pay-per-view.
Let's do it. Bam.
All right. Well, we are now kicking off a new year, 1991, with the WWF Royal Rumble, which took place on January 19th. 1991 from the Miami Arena in Miami, Florida. This arena was the former home of NBA's Miami Heat and also the NHL's Florida Panthers, but it was demolished in 2008. The attendance for the Royal Rumble, 16,000, and your commentators are Gorilla Monsoon and Rowdy Roddy Piper. And the number one song in the United States on January 19th, 1991, it's another one by Janet Jackson. I mean, it's kind of a bop.
I mean, I like how, like, all of our songs, there's always a random woo. Okay. Yeah. Kind of before Shania Twain was her.
Yeah, exactly. Well, tell us a little bit about the background of Rumble 91.
For sure. Well, this was the fourth Royal Rumble pay-per-view, which feels crazy because I feel like we've watched so many more than that. But there was one dark match for the live crowd before the pay-per-view where Jerry Saggs of the Nasty Boys, I have to say it like that, the Nasty Boys, who we just saw debut in WCW on Halloween Havoc, he defeated Sam Houston. Where we went to.
How about that? And Sam Houston, we haven't seen on pay-per-view in forever. He was apparently still around, just not on TV.
Well, that sucks. Well, Justin, before we go any further, we need some
wrestle stats.
Let's get into the wrestle stats. The average age of wrestlers on this pay-per-view, 33 years old. The youngest, I think you've heard of this guy, Dustin Rhodes, who was 21 years old on this pay-per-view. The oldest, Jimmy Snuka, at more than twice that age, at the age of 47. Let's get into who's still around. On this show, there are 43 wrestlers who make it, actually 44 who make an appearance. 27 of them are still alive today for a percentage of 62.79%. And out of all the wrestlers that we've watched on Wrestle Recap, that's 251 wrestlers. 141 of them are still alive today for a percentage of 56.17%.
I'm guessing it went up from last week because if it goes down, we got to have our new song.
I know, which might just be the Undertaker's theme at this point. I don't know.
It's just a dong.
Yeah, it's like, oh, run. All right, well, what happens when you pull this show up on your Peacock machine?
All righty. Well, the show opens with an American flag and the national anthem, and they zoom in on like several crowd members while this anthem is playing, and they include like this pretty lady mouthing the words, and I'm like, they found the hottest chick in the arena, and they're like, we're gonna give her some camera time. There were some really pissed off looking bratty kids, but then there were some good kids who were actually singing, and then there was a toddler eating a pretzel. And I'm like, nothing says America like chomping down on a pretzel.
Especially when you've just gotten teeth, and it's probably not the healthiest thing for you to be eating at that age, but yes.
Hey, do you know that Sonic has pretzels and they're really good?
Interesting.
Ooh, that scared me. I think something just exploded in your house, and her name is
Yes, it
Penny.
was my dog's vocal cords, and hopefully they will explode more, so that never happens again.
Oh, well, Vince gives us a Royal Rumble graphic followed by the announcements of the Rumble participants, which, ooh, I hate that still. I'm so ready for this to be a surprise. We've got quite a few new characters, but not new wrestlers, but just like characters that we haven't seen before. So Vince also lets us know that Ultimate Warrior is defending the title from Sergeant Slaughter and tells us about some other random matches, but it's time to rumble.
Yes, and the song that was playing in the background of all that, like, put me right back in our childhood. Like that, it is like I just remember like seeing promos for the Royal Rumble on that tiny TV in our game room. You remember that?
Oh God, the one with the clicky turns. Like,
Yeah,
wasn't that
yeah.
black and white?
Well, it was originally color, but we used it so long that it turned black and white.
That's a thing that can happen.
Apparently so.
I had no idea. Now
That's the same TV that I would watch in the mornings if it snowed to see if school was canceled.
Well, I remember that game room that it was in. It was freaking cold. So if you were in there thinking like, "Oh, it snowed," it was cold as hell in that room when you were sitting there shivering, watching to see if you had to go to school. There was no Facebook to announce it or anything.
Oh no!
You had to wait till the news came on. But hey, Gorilla Monsoon and Roddy pop up on screen and like, whoa. Roddy is excited. He says that it's a jungle backstage and all of those guys have hair on their teeth. What?
What were they doing?
I don't know. I was a little, but don't know what that means. It just sounded nasty. But Roddy gives a shout out to the men and women of the military, and we're supposed to sit back, relax, and watch the rumble in the jungle, according to Roddy.
Yeah, that's weird that he called it that because that's something completely different. That's a boxing match from decades before. But anyway,
I don't even know if Roddy knows what half the stuff he says. I mean, he was amped. Like, I'm not putting any accusations out there, but
no, he was very excitable.
He was. Well, let's get into the first match. It's not the Royal Rumble. It's a tag team match between the Orient Express with Mr. Fuji and the Rockers, which is always exciting. So we've had a little switch out in the Orient Express. We've got a new guy. So obviously it's Tanaka, who we last saw on Survivor Series 1990, but now he's got Kato with him. Kato. So let's talk about him. He was born on May 11th, 1961, and he is the ripe old age of 63 today. So he's pretty young. He was 29 on this pay-per-view, but the last thing we'll see him wrestle on is WWF Royal Rumble 1993. So he doesn't stick around a real long time, but get this. His real name is Thomas Borick.
That doesn't sound Japanese.
That. Not at all. But he was better known as Paul Diamond. Not Neil Diamond. Paul Diamond. No.
Maybe we should play a Neil Diamond song if we get below 50% on the people alive.
Oh, yeah. I get Neil Diamond confused with Phil Collins.
How dare you?
I know, it's your guy, right? I'm so sorry. But prior to wrestling, this Kato, he had a professional hockey career. Really cool. I actually just watched Mighty Ducks last night, which probably I would say for the first time because I watched it when I was really young and didn't remember a lot about it. So I rewatched it last night. So I'm all about the hockey right now. So cool.
All right.
During his time in wrestling, he wrestled everywhere. He was at WWF, WCW, ECW, USWA, on and on. And he was also the first tag team partner of a rookie. Maybe you know him, Shawn Michaels.
Isn't that wild? And now they're against the Rockers in this match. It's just crazy.
It really is crazy. But of course, we've got Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, he's starting to get a little old now. He's now 25. So he needs to slow it down. About to start getting AARP things in the mail like I am.
Yeah, get that on speed dial.
Right, but let's get into the match, brother.
Yeah, you notice right offhand, not only does the new Orient Express get the same old WWF generic Japanese entrance music, but Kato has to wear a mask so nobody knows that it's a white guy as half of the Orient Express.
I mean, he didn't have to. A lot of people think I'm Asian and Japanese. I mean, as long as your hair is dark enough, you can pull it off.
With the bald jokes already, huh? Okay. All right.
Oh, my bad. He has a mask. I didn't notice. um, okay. First, we got to talk about aesthetics of the show. WWF needs to get rid of this tired ring apron because we've seen it the last like few Royal Rumbles, and at first it looked cool, but like at least steam that dang thing because it's old and wrinkled, and it literally looks like they wad it up at the end of the show, throw it in a closet, and then come back and get it a year later, and they don't steam it, clean it, they just hang it back up. It looks
It's
tired.
actually in Vince's closet. He like, keeps it in there and like, somebody iron this. I don't know how to use an iron.
Well, I never mind. I'm not even going to go there. Not even going to go there. Go ahead.
We should also note the entranceway, and that is to say there's nothing of note. It's the black curtain with the WWF logo above it, and you'd really think that they would step up their game on these entranceways, considering WCW's always looks really cool and intricate.
I don't know if Vince just didn't think it was important. I don't get it either because I mean, at least the way WWE is now, like they are quick to jump on something like if the competition's doing something. So yeah. I'm very surprised too.
Well, and like every year we're here at WrestleMania time and pictures start to leak of the arena being set up for WrestleMania, and people are like, oh, what's the stage going to look at? To the point that now, like the night before WrestleMania, WWE usually puts out a YouTube video or something showing off the set to like get everybody hyped for it. So it's just a thing. Roddy Piper here says that he saw the Orient Express backstage gnawing on raw fish. Like, Roddy, they're Japanese, not savages. Like,
also,
come on.
That's like a really like barbaric way to describe eating sushi.
Right, exactly.
Which is actually quite fancy. Like I'm not even fancy enough for sushi. So, well, it wouldn't be a Royal Rumble without a USA chant, right? We get that right off the bat.
Of course.
Of course. Yes. Well, the Rockers pants. Oh man, they made me so happy because they looked like 90s like movie theater carpet. I'm here for it, man. Like, so for a visual, for those who haven't seen, they have like these royal blue pants on with brightly colored like shapes, random shapes all over movie theater carpet.
Yeah, I almost feel like my Marty Jannetty action figure as a kid was based off of these pants because I had Rockers figures, and then they came out with a Marty Jannetty just on his own, and I feel like it was these pants. But speaking of gear, was Tanaka always barefoot when we seen him? Because like I feel like he had boots before.
I feel like he had boots because there were very few. We would normally like Haku, like we would comment on it if they weren't wearing boots. So yeah,
I don't know. Well, I wonder at what point Shawn stopped shaving his chest, because like it was all hairy for the latter part of his career, but like here in these early days, he's still as smooth as Gorilla Monsoon's tinted glasses. So I wonder when he was finally like, screw it.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes like chest hair doesn't come until later in life. Like my husband, like my husband, I call him the golden retriever because he is covered in blonde fur. But he said he wasn't always a hairy man. Like he couldn't grow a beard in his 20s, but now he's very beardy. And so, I don't know, maybe he just got older and it came in and he just quit caring. I don't know. Well, hair pulling is now a thing in WWF because as Shawn was on the ground, he was like kind of laying on his back. Mr. Fuji grabbed Shawn by the hair and like pulled him closer to the outside of the ring and whacked him in the neck with his cane. I was like, you can't pull hair, Mr. Fuji. You run a marathon in a tuxedo and you think you can pull hair now? Like what?
Who does this guy think he is? So somebody should really do something.
Do something, indeed.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting connection. So last week when we covered WCW Starrcade, we saw Conan for the first time. And here we're seeing Kato for the first time. Well, just a few years after this, there would be a WWF wrestler named Max Moon. And it was like this futuristic spaceman gimmick, complete with like a jetpack that lifted him up the ring steps. He was actually just jumping while it blew steam out the bottom. But the first guy to play that character was Conan. But then after just a couple of appearances, the gimmick went to Paul Diamond, a.k.a. Kato, which is awesome until you realize Max Moon sucked. So poor Kato.
I mean, poor anyone who got that gimmick because it's just not going to work. I mean, maybe in 2025, it could be really freaking cool because they have technology now. I don't know. But as for the match, like the chemistry between these guys is pretty good. I'm impressed. And now I know it's because Shawn and Kato have worked together before.
Yeah. And a lot of people voted this as the best match on the show.
I can get behind that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can get behind that. But hey, Sean assisted Marty and then with a sunset flip, and the Rockers win the match in 19 minutes and 13 seconds. So what'd you
Yeah,
think
and
about it?
it's really funny how much more slowly the Rockers run back to the locker room than they do when they're running down to the ring. They're like, down to the ring, and then they're going back like, damn, that was 20 minutes, wasn't it? Oh.
Exactly. That's what happened. I walked my dogs yesterday and they're always like real like eager to get around the block, but once it's the walk home, it's like they know and they're so
Yeah.
slow and I have to drag them. That's what it reminded me of. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like the match. You?
Yeah, no, it was a fun match. They did a great job, and more to come.
More to come, like Sean Mooney being backstage with Macho
Oh.
King Randy Savage. And Savage, I mean, his back is to the camera again. Of course, it drives me nuts. But Savage says that he's the greatest WWF champion ever, which he might be. I don't know at this point, but he says it doesn't matter who wins tonight because Slaughter has already promised him a title shot as he is the number one contender. And Mooney
Mm.
replies that Randy is getting ahead of himself and asks if he has the same commitment from Ultimate Warrior. Savage answers that he's going to get it in a second because Sherry is going to bait the Warrior into giving him that title shot. No, man, this
Uh-oh.
gets crazy. He tells Sean to look at the TV, which shows Sherry in the arena with Mean Gene. And that little TV looks like that little 12-inch one from the game room that you were talking about earlier. It's this tiny little crappy TV. But as I said, we're in the arena with Sherry and Gene, and she tells him that she has no doubt that Sergeant Slaughter will come through on his promise of a title shot for Randy Savage. ... If he wins. Ooh. She says she hopes the Ultimate Warrior would be as honorable, but that she has her doubts, and she invites the Ultimate Warrior to come out and accept her challenge. So they're bopping along a little bit, and then Ultimate Warrior sure does come out, and this goes dirty real quick, Justin.
Oh yeah.
So Ultimate Warrior, I don't understand him. He kind of just has this blank stare for like the next 10 minutes of not moving, not making faces, whatever. But meanwhile, Sherry tells him that he has beautiful eyes, they're hazel, and that she wants to touch his chest. And she like kind of touches his hair, is like complimenting his hair, even though it probably feels like crispy because it's like bleached and permed and I don't know what.
Sherry,
are you doing neckbeard voice? Stop doing neckbeard voice.
You can touch my hair anytime, Sherry.
You're nasty. Neckbeards don't have crispy hair. They have greasy hair.
You never met a neckbeard like me.
Also, I watched The Greasy Strangler again. Everyone still needs to watch that. But she starts trying to take off his jacket like from behind and then like comes in front of him and kisses him. And this is kind of where we get the first reaction from him. He kind of smiles and man, he's got some big teeth. Like, have you ever noticed that? Like, obviously, I mean, I have big teeth, so I'm allowed to talk about this. Like, I've never seen him like zoomed in that much. And his tooth, it's like 1.5 inches long. Like,
oh yeah, he's like sucking on a picket fence.
And once again, I'm not picking on him because Justin and I, we say we have Tate teeth. Our teeth are giant like our fathers, even though my dad has veneers. But beyond that, never noticed that before. But he keeps like touching his lips, almost like he's like wiping off Sherry's slobber, and like. Oh my God. I was just baffled when this happened. Sherry then gets on her knees in front of him and the crowd goes wild. The crowd goes wild. I'm ignoring this neckbeard in my ear.
I'm going wild in my pants.
Oh, yuck. So meanwhile, all the kids just think that she's on her knees like to beg. And I'm like, oh, kids, you're not getting that. But she's begging for that title match for Macho King Randy Savage.
Well, and for some damn reason, Warrior keeps sniffing his fingers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, weird. I didn't even see him go. Well, anyway.
Oh, you're nasty. You're nasty. Yeah, because the whole time he's like touching his lips and smelling. And that's why I was like, I don't get the Warrior. Like, I'm like, are you on drugs or are you? I'm just very confused. Okay. Ultimate Warrior, he like spits and then he starts like convulsing and then yells, no, and like beats on his chest.
Yeah. It's a very weird segment.
It's weird. Oh gosh. So then we go back to Macho King Randy Savage, who's in the back and he's pissed. He's throwing furniture. Man, I'm hitting my mic. I'm so like into this right now. And he comes running out to the ring, circles it once, finds Sherry, doesn't seem too happy with her, and then leaves.
Yeah, it all turned into a Maury episode. There's a crying woman on stage. There's a guy backstage throwing chairs. It was all very, very weird.
To the next match we go. Let's just
yes, please. Yes, please. Go away, neckbeard. We'll bring you back later.
Oh God, don't come back.
It's a singles match. The Barbarian with Bobby the Brain Heenan versus the Big Boss Man. Of course, last saw both these guys on the last pay-per-view, Survivor Series 90. Let's get on into it. The Barbarian, of course, has his little furry hat on and a cute little skull, like right there on the front of his head. I'm not really sure what kind of skull it's supposed to be because it looks like a human one, but it's like tiny, and I don't want to believe it's a baby's skull. But Spirit Halloween needs to get on these hats. Like I would wear one.
That's why. So when we went to Renfest, it was Barbarian weekend. Saw a lot of that. Meanwhile, you've got a bunch of neckbeards wearing all this heavy fur and Barbarian gear in like September in Houston. Yeah, that's
yeah. That's how I get my natural musk.
Yuck. So has the Barbarian always been this tan? Because like this doesn't look like the Barbarian to me that I remember. Like what?
Yeah, no, I think it's also he has a full beard and all of his hair, like he doesn't have the mohawk or anything. But you know who he looked like to me with that tan and a full head of hair and the full beard?
Who?
He looked like Miro.
Oh my God, yes, that makes so much sense because it was like in my head I was like he looks like somebody now, and I was really questioning if it was the same guy.
yeah, Miro / Rusev, who I think we'll probably see sooner rather than later back on TV, but that's just me. Yeah, it looked like him. Yeah. But I don't know if he's been doing it for a while, but Piper keeps referring to Bobby Heenan as Boobsy. Like it's kind of a more fitting name for Sherry after that last segment, is it not?
I don't know. I haven't noticed Bobby Heenan's boobs yet.
Yeah, well, maybe one day we'll get that lucky. But Piper also says, I'm losing my breath, and we're not even halfway through the evening yet. The day Piper runs out of breath is the day I look like Miro.
Yeah, I'm just like, buddy, like you might be losing your breath, but that's your own fault because you need to slow down. So.
I know. Well, Boss Man, you got to give it to him. He is so much more of a showman here than when we first saw him as Big Bubba. Remember, he was just kind of a big galoot and didn't really.
A big galoot.
He seemed lost and kind of clumsy. At one point in this match, he got his foot tied up in the ropes. I swear to God, genuinely did not know if it was intentional or not.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's really like coming to his own. He sounds so old, like using that phrase in your big galoot. Yeah. That just made me laugh. I haven't heard that in 25 years. But yeah, he's looking really good. I'm liking how he's developing his character. He seems more comfortable. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, confident and comfortable. But this was just kind of a big man match, and there's a good balance. It seemed a little slow, but the crowd was super into it.
Yeah, they were. They're all behind Boss Man, and he takes the win in just 14 minutes and 15 seconds. How about that one? Anything else to say about that one, or should we move on?
No, just a big man match, but it was a good one.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to move on to in this show. Yeah. Sean Mooney is in the fake locker room with the tiny little lockers that nobody can fit anything in. I will always make fun of that, with Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan. And Slaughter is embracing the Iraqi sympathizer gimmick that he's doing, wearing the full Middle Eastern garb. Yeah. And then Adnan is yelling things in another language while Slaughter looks on, nodding his head, probably pretending he has any clue what Adnan is saying. Like he's probably thinking, crap, I'm not going to know my cue to talk, am I? I have no idea what this guy's saying. Shit. Anyway, Slaughter says that if you think there's turmoil in the world, wait until I face the ultimate puke. These maggots need a leader. But he did have one good line that I really liked. So he's speaking to Warrior, and he says, your weeks are no longer numbered. Your days are no longer numbered. Your hours are no longer numbered. Your seconds are numbered. I was like, pretty good. Pretty good.
Why did that wonderful line get wasted on Sergeant Slaughter and Adnan?
I don't know. But I want Dusty to deliver it. Your seconds are number, baby.
Yeah.
Anyway, for a response, we go to Mean Gene Okerlund, who's backstage with the Ultimate Dentist's Dream. And Warrior says that he only takes orders from the warriors that are on his back, which is weird because his warriors look like acne. Anyway, he says that the only ones who follow Slaughter are demented and that he will walk away as the ultimate victor. And then there was like snorting and random sounds in there too, but it's hard to type those into my notes. So let's just go on to the next match.
Yeah, Justin, has he always been a snorter like this? Because I keep noticing, like this show, he does a lot. He's like, and I'm like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? He's like
I'm the
snarling.
ultimate piggy.
I know. And it goes back to his bizarre thing with Sherry earlier. I don't know, man. This is a weird show. But we do have our singles match for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship, which is so weird this early on in the show. I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense being on the Royal Rumble, but I don't know. I figured it'd be right before the Rumble, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, as I said, we've got Sergeant Slaughter and Ultimate Warrior who were both on the Survivor Series in 1990. So that's about all I got to say about that. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it's interesting that even though General Adnan is waving the Iraqi flag, Slaughter has taken off his Middle Eastern garb to go out to the ring and he's put on an army helmet instead. Nevertheless, there are people in the crowd who look legitimately pissed off at him because at this time, tensions were so high with this new war starting in the Middle East. And this guy, an American, saying he likes Iraq better is a big deal.
It's a weird take to do, it's taking either side to me is weird. If we got into that in 2025, but what's real funny is we have all these home movies from when we were kids, and there's one where I'm like 3, you're like 11, and you look in the camera and you say, first off, I want to say peace in the Middle East. And I never understood why you said that and where you got that. It's because you watched WWF.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that was like everywhere at the time. Like, I think at some point in the show, Roddy shows that he has a yellow ribbon around his sleeve. That's what everybody did. Our mom put a yellow ribbon out on our front door. She? Yes, because they were like everywhere. It's like, that's all anybody was talking about because we hadn't really been involved in a war in so long.
Yeah. I'm just surprised that our mom did that because she's usually so like, I don't do anything for anyone holidays. Like, I don't support anyone. Like, you know what I mean? She's not a public display of support. But the Ultimate Warrior, he starts things hot by running in and just ripping that Iraqi flag in half. And he like shoved it in Sergeant Slaughter's mouth and then he choked him with it. And then I thought, didn't Chris Jericho get like in big trouble or like suspended for doing something like this?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like
Brazil or Colombia or something.
Yeah. He like stomped on the flag or threw it down or something like that. Yeah.
And he got in big trouble. So the fact that this happened in 91 and no one cared. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's because Chris Jericho did it when they were actually in that country as a heel move, whereas Slaughter was safe here in the US doing it.
True. I don't know. You were saying they were getting kind of pissed off. So I don't know.
They were.
But I didn't realize how overly political WWF was in the early 90s. I mean, I'm not a fan when anyone's political, but I don't know. Wrestling is such a goofy thing that it's such an escape that we shouldn't have any of that real life stuff in.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of its own little world. It's like, it's hard not to say anything about the reality of the world, but at the same time, it's like, all right, but can we just watch some guys fight?
Yeah, like I'm all good at the beginning of the show. I dedicate this to the men and women in our armed forces, but to keep it going throughout the show, it's crazy. So then out of nowhere, sensational Sherry runs out, but now she's in a new silver and black outfit, which is different because before she's wearing solid white and it almost looked like a bridal dress. And I thought it was weird because I was like, is she trying to be like innocent and like appear innocent? And now she's back to the black and silver.
I know. She probably took that white dress from Miss Elizabeth.
Where is she?
You'll see her again. Just wait.
This biche disappears and reappears more often than David Copperfield, I swear, or the Black Scorpion. Oh God.
Hopefully he's disappeared for good.
Oh, I hope so. I think I put that in the tweet for next week or promoting the next WCW episode. I'm like, Black Scorpion's gone for forever. We hope. Yeah. But she trips the Ultimate Warrior, which leads him to like kind of chasing her down the ramp where I'm like, Ultimate Warrior, I saw it coming. How did you not see it coming? Because he got blindsided by Randy Savage, and Randy Savage takes him out with a big light pole from production. Come on, dude, you walked right into that.
I know, man. Come on, Warrior. Well, he's crazy and he's the champion. He ain't smart.
No, but he got big teeth. That's all that matters. Yes. Meanwhile, I had forgotten, like completely forgotten about Sergeant Slaughter at that point. Like I'm way more interested in the Warrior Savage feud that I forgot that match was even happening.
Yeah, did you notice they pointed it out here that he's now wearing Slaughter is now wearing those curly-toed boots like the Iron Sheik has?
I did not even catch that. Nope.
Which is interesting considering more stuff coming up. But anyway.
Ooh, exciting. Well, Sergeant Slaughter, he puts Ultimate Warrior in a bear hug. And you know how I feel about those bear hugs, but at least it's more entertaining with Ultimate Warrior because he like convulses and like shakes around to get out of it instead of just like going limp and like taking a breather for 5 minutes. So I was a little bit okay with it.
Well, and in mid bear hug, Slaughter tries to like lock it in tighter a few times, but it looks like he's just humping Warrior. So like I'd be convulsing too. You know, I mean, if Slaughter did it right, I can do it right.
I'd be like, is that your nuclear weapon or are you just excited to see me?
Oh,
Quagmire. Ooh, speaking of, Slaughter has a tiny tuft of hair on his forehead. Like it's like a tiny tuft and then bald and more hair. And I'm like, dude, shave that off. Like there's no use holding on to that at this point. Like
you should just keep that army helmet on all the time.
Probably kind of like a Teddy Long in his do-rag or his sweatband. He's hiding that bald.
Yeah. Weird moment here in the match where Warrior is down on the mat, right? And Slaughter drags him over so the Warrior's feet are hanging outside of the ring. But then Slaughter locks in the camel clutch and the referee, of course, breaks it up since Warrior's feet are under the ropes. And Slaughter's like, wait, why? How are you surprised by this? You literally put the Warrior's feet under the ropes.
Yeah, I was confused by that. I thought I missed something because
no, it was
so
just
confused.
It made no sense. I don't know what that was.
I don't know either. I don't know, but it's another thing to add to the weird stuff that happened in this show. But Warrior had been selling the damage that Sergeant Slaughter did to his back, but like he finally picks up momentum and pulls ahead. And
oh hell yeah, he's like shaking those ropes like they had the few last scoops of protein powder, and I'm like, come on.
Yes, every time he shakes those, I just think of MJF doing it and like how that's gotta be some sort of, because I know MJF was a huge Ultimate Warrior fan, so yeah, and he does an awesome Randy Savage impersonation. That one's freaking funny. If you haven't seen it, look for it on Twitter. But hey, Sherry comes running back in. Ultimate Warrior gets her in the ring. And then he press slams her to the outside onto Randy Savage. Yes, I love intergender wrestling.
I was a little bit surprised by this. Not surprised by, I can't believe they would do that, but it was just, but it's Sherry. Like Sherry didn't come up as a manager. She came up as a wrestler. So you know she could take it, but it was still kind of like, dang, okay.
Yeah, I'm really, really like, I always knew who Sherry was, but like I'm getting so much more and more respect for her with every show we watch. But yeah, and it's weird. Real life is syncing up again because we don't see these big intergender moves often, but we just saw John Moxley knock out Willow like a week or two ago. And so I was kind of expecting it just because that was fresh on my mind. So I was expecting, but Randy, he busts their little scepter over Warrior's head, which allows Sergeant Slaughter to pin Warrior, in which the crowd chants bullshit. They did not like that.
No, they did not.
No, I didn't like it. I wanted Warrior to win, but hey, Sergeant Slaughter, he won that match and kept his championship.
Won the championship.
Oh, he won the championship. My bad. I was misreading.
Yeah.
Won the championship in 12 minutes and 44 seconds. This is how I felt when Stan Hansen won it from Lex Luger. I was like, this isn't going to last long.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny to think about like the WWE championship that Cody Rhodes holds today is the same championship, the same title as this one that's on Sergeant Slaughter. When you think about all the WWE champions over the years, a lot of people go to Hogan and they go to Stone Cold and The Rock and The Undertaker. Not many people mention Slaughter, but he was champion for a little bit.
It's weird. And again, it's just, I didn't like it. I understood it, I guess. I don't know. I'm having a hard time differentiating if this is heel heat or go away heat with Sergeant Slaughter because
I think it's heel heat. I really do.
That's good. Maybe I'm just like looking back and I'm like, I don't like you. Why are you getting the title? Anyway, did you like the match?
Yeah, you know what? I did. And and it's not even that it was this technical masterpiece, but just knowing that it set up a couple of things coming out of it, like Warrior and Savage, and then Slaughter and Hogan. And yeah, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, like I think I said it earlier. I was definitely more interested in the Warrior versus Savage aspect of it, but I thought it was fun. It after the match, I realized more why it happened earlier in the show because there were so many shenanigans involved.
Yeah.
But Sergeant Slaughter thinks he is Hulk Hogan because he starts posing for forever in the ring after his big win. And Gorilla and Roddy, they're pretty heated about the ending of the match.
Yeah.
I like that. Normally JR is the one going on and on over on commentary, but they don't really do this often.
Yeah, no. And I think they would not have played that up as much if it weren't for the whole Iraq part of it, the whole war thing. They were so mad that somebody got the better of the USA. And so they were mad on our behalf.
Exactly. I like that. I like when the commentary, like, they express what I want to say because no one can hear me. Right. Well, we get a WrestleMania 7 commercial hosted by Vince. And I don't know why Vince has deemed himself the voiceover guy because he doesn't have a good voice. It's very rough.
He's another one of those that's always talking through a poop.
Yes. I feel like they all are. Like Triple H, he has poop voice. But they advertise that over 100,000 screaming fans will be at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum for WrestleMania 7. I'm like, okay.
Couple things wrong with that statement, but all right.
Exactly. We'll see. But they do say call Ticketmaster to get tickets. And like, I didn't even know Ticketmaster existed back then. I thought the first existence of Ticketmaster was a website. I didn't realize you could call. And so first of all, I was like, do you still have to pay like 60% of your ticket as a fee? Because I freaking hate when I buy like a $400 wrestling ticket and then the fee is $200. I'm like, it did not cost you a dang thing to sell me this ticket.
Yeah.
But to call Ticketmaster, they say call 213-480-3232. So I'm like, I'm going to Google this, see what that is now. And holy crap, it is still a working number for Ticketmaster in Los Angeles.
That's crazy. I can't believe 24 years later, it's still their number. That's crazy.
Yeah. And it didn't seem like a number that you call as a customer. It seemed like the business office number.
Right.
So yeah it's pretty cool. But beyond that, back to the arena. Let's move on.
Yes. Let's go to a singles match. Coco Beware versus the Mountie. Now, of course, we last saw Coco on Survivor Series 90, but the Mountie, we last saw him on Royal Rumble a year ago, 1990, as Jacques Rougeau, one half of the Fabulous Rougeaus. He's now been repackaged, and he is ostensibly a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. How about that?
Yep.
Yep. We had an American prison guard in the Big Boss Man. So now we need a Mountie for Canadians, I guess. I don't know. But absolutely loved this moment, okay? During Coco's entrance, they showed these two young teenagers in the crowd. And one of them is like flapping his arms for Coco, the Birdman. And his buddy like shoves his arms out of the way and like gripes at him for blocking his face when the camera's on him. Beautiful moment.
And so accurate because I feel like it was a way bigger deal to be on TV back then than it is now. Like you have your moment. And man, I just keep hitting my desk and my mic and everything.
You need to scoot back.
Apparently, I don't know. Like, why am I just hitting stuff? But does the Mountie, was that like a taser? Like a cattle prod? What was that thing?
Yes, it was a cattle prod, and he used it in matches, complete with like this hilariously sound effect that's like meow, meow, and then like the lights would like dim on and off, and yeah, it was really dumb.
Why? It's not attached to the electricity.
I know, but you know, it's wrestling.
Well, Big Boss Man, he needs a taser, and like they can have a match, and it'll be like on N64, like first to 5 tasers win. So they just have to like chase each other and like try to zap each other. That'd be fun.
Watch them try to change his theme music to like, he carries a big stick, a ball and chain, and a taser or a cattle prod or stun gun too.
Oh gosh. Well, the Mountie is driving me nuts. You want to know why? Because every time he does one move, he walks around with his hands in the air. And he walks around
he's
forever.
not that much different from Jacques Rougeau. He's just a Mountie now.
Yeah, he just has a different outfit. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Here's something interesting. When the WWF would go to Canada, the Mountie couldn't be called the Mountie because it was illegal to impersonate a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So in Canada, they just had to call him Jacques Rougeau.
That's weird because obviously it's illegal to impersonate a police officer here, but we're not getting on to Big Boss Man for that's weird. Yeah. Those Canadians, they're a little sensitive.
Well, poor Coco, poor Coco. He's clapping his hands. He's trying to get the crowd into it, but like they just ain't having it. Not after seeing Warrior lose the belt to Slaughter. They're like, all right, you're lucky you got a Royal Rumble match at the end of this damn thing or I'd be out.
Oh, I know. It was like the Moxley Swerve ending. Everyone was just kind of like,
yeah.
The best part of this match, like maybe my favorite part of the entire pay-per-view, was when Jimmy Hart was trying to talk smack to the bird, to Frankie. Like Jimmy at one point is like laughing and like taunting him and like pointing in the bird's face, and Frankie's just like not having it.
Yeah. But Jimmy's great. I love Jimmy.
He should have eaten some sunflower seeds right before the match to make Frankie at least like be interested and make him look at him so he'd like smell it or something, because Frankie, he's not having it. He's just like, meh, meh.
Yeah.
But that's obviously the noise a parrot makes. But if our followers are only listening, I have to convey that.
I see.
So
I'm sure that the ones who are only subscribed to the ears edition appreciate it. Yes.
Yes. I have to include everybody, but you know, I feel bad for Coco because he always looks good in his matches. He never wins. He's like Mark Briscoe. I love Mark so much, but he never wins.
It's like he gets more exposure by being in the WWF, but he did so much more for himself when he was like in Mid-South and places like that. But anyway, the Mountie wins this one in just 9 minutes and 12 seconds. What'd you think overall?
I don't know why this was on WrestleMania.
Me either.
Not WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. Yeah. I don't know why it was on the pay-per-view. I felt like it could have just been on like Raw, or whatever on weekly TV, because it just no stakes. Mountie is weird. I feel like Jacques Rougeau had no charisma, as at least when they were the Rougeau like brothers, they had a little bit more charisma, but this was just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, he will become infinitely more annoying. I remember when I was a kid, I hated the Mountie. And later on this year, we will get into the first pay-per-view I ever saw, the show that got me hooked on wrestling. And he has a very distinct part in that show that just made me go, Mountie.
I just don't like the word Mountie because I think of like my dogs humping each other, like mounting.
Okay. All right. We should probably move on. We should... Let's get to the next bit here because it's a lot.
I'm sorry. You can sit here and do the neckbeard voice over and over, but we have to move on when I talk about my dogs humping each other.
Yes.
My dogs don't even hump each other. One humps the other one, and I have to tell them to stop it.
Okay. All right. Sean Mooney is in the locker room with Savage and Sherry, and Savage still says that he's the greatest of all time. And as he goes on and on about Warrior and Slaughter and the WWF Championship, there's banging on the locker room door. And assuming that it's the Ultimate Warrior, Savage and Sherry hightail it out of there to run somewhere. I don't know how many locker rooms have two doors, but they ran somewhere.
Yeah, that was kind of strange, wasn't it? It will always throw me off so much to see Randy Savage without his sunglasses, because he was
can see my eyes.
And it's weird. He looks so different because like he was the camera was real zoomed in on him and he was looking into the camera. And I remember even going to see Spider-Man in theaters and being like, oh my God, he doesn't have his sunglasses. He looks weird.
Yeah. Well, we go back to Gorilla and Piper, who are still pissed off about the Warrior Slaughter match. Gorilla mentions that even if the ref didn't see what happened, some officials higher up certainly did see it. Yeah. Okay, Gorilla. Really counting on Jack Tunney to get off his ass and do something about this. Anyway, Mean Gene's backstage with Sergeant Slaughter and General Adnan. Slaughter says that when he says he's going to get something done, you better believe he's going to do it. And then I noticed the Warrior's lavender belt looks so funny on Slaughter. Like,
Yeah.
he's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Anyway, Slaughter says that unlike anybody else in the military world today, he has no boundaries and he has just begun to fight. And then General Adnan yells some stuff in another language, and Slaughter looks at him like, yeah, I like bell peppers too. To the next match. No, we do not go to the next match. No, we go back to Gorilla and Piper. Roddy impersonates Adnan's yelling in a slightly offensive way and says, stick it up your nose. Yeah. Then Piper hawk tuas so hard that his headset flies off. And he does note that nobody's holding back now, and we all get a crack at you, Slaughter. So he's a wanted man. And now we go to the ring. Nope. No, we do not. We see a montage of pre-recorded messages for the American military members serving overseas. And these were like fans from the crowd or people from Miami or just people. I don't know. Very few of them even seem to be aware that there was a war going on. It's very generic. And if you didn't get enough of Gorilla and Piper, we're going back to them. Gorilla says that Hulk Hogan wanted to go visit the service members in Saudi Arabia, but the government wouldn't allow it. So he's about to embark on a tour of military bases here in the U.S. Man, wrestling not being allowed in Saudi Arabia. Those were the good old days.
Let's go back.
Yeah. All right. It's montage mania. You ready, Michelle? Because we now have pre-recorded comments from many of the participants of tonight's Rumble match. Jake Roberts, says that he has ice in his veins, and he singles out Rick Martel, who he was still feuding with. Earthquake bounces around like he does and singles out Hulk Hogan. Texas Tornado gives the weather report, I think. Clouds, something. I don't know.
Hey, Debbie Lynn, she's back. She's worked some things out in her life because Greg Valentine is back to being blonde. All is right in the world.
She found herself a good soul. That's all she needed. Legion of Doom says if life is like a roller coaster, you don't want to take a ride on us. Not sure he meant to say that.
Wow. Yeah. Well, then we talk to the Undertaker and we hear for the very first time, rest in peace. Oh, so cool.
Yeah, Brother Love was just going on and on. I'm like, oh, I hope he says it out. And then he said it. I was like,
go away, Brother Love. He doesn't need you.
Well, some more clips happen before Tugboat ends it by making his little tugboat sound, which is very intimidating. That was a lot. Good thing we're ready for the next match. No. More talking.
More talking. Where's my tea?
We're back to Gorilla and Roddy, who say that Roddy says this is the best pay-per-view he's ever seen. Kind of figured it would have been WrestleMania 3, but who am I? There's a little foreshadowing here, though, because Piper says that he had lunch with Virgil today, trying to talk a little bit of sense into him. Kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. Good God, can we have a match already? No, we cannot. Sean Mooney is in the fake locker room with the tiny little lockers that nobody could fit their stuff into with Ted DiBiase and Virgil. And Ted points out all the disgusting things that Virgil does for him. Massages his feet and cleans the dung off of his shoes, all because of the almighty dollar. And because of that almighty dollar, he's bought a bodyguard and a tag team partner in Virgil. But Virgil seems off, less than enthused. Something seems to be running through his head, kind of like, damn, some meat sauce sounds good right now. Anyway, finally, a match.
I don't eat meat sauce, but anyway, tag team, that was just a funny thing to think about. Tag team match with, oh my gosh. So we just talked about Ted DiBiase and Virgil, but guess who they are against? They're against Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes.
Look at that.
So freaking cool. So obviously, we've seen and we know these guys, but we haven't talked about them because they haven't been in a ring on pay-per-view yet. So we've got to talk about them. So let's get to it. I get to talk about Dustin Rhodes. How fun. Okay, so Dustin was born April 11th, 1969, meaning he is 55 years old today. And as you said earlier, he's only 21 on this pay-per-view. He's the youngest one. And the last pay-per-view we'll see him wrestle on, well, right now it's AEW Dynasty 2025, a week ago, because he's still going.
Yeah, so crazy.
Insane. So his real name is Dustin Patrick Runnels, and he is, of course, the son of Dusty Rhodes and the half brother of current WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Have you heard of him? Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the American Nightmare. Is it? I
Something
haven't really
like
heard of him. I've only heard of his wife. I don't know.
There's something with a neck tattoo. I don't know.
Something. Yeah.
He's still a force in wrestling today, and he's currently a double champion in Ring of Honor. And he also runs the Rhodes Wrestling Academy in Leander, Texas, which is just right outside of Austin. And I have always said, if I were to go to wrestling school, I would go to his.
Oh yeah.
I think because he keeps it going, even though like he's filming and doing stuff on TV. I actually looked into it, and they have classes like Thursday through Monday nights. And so like he is gone for Wednesdays and stuff. But yeah, golly, I was so excited when I saw him pop up because I watch him still. I have met him,
Yeah.
The other guy we got to talk about is Virgil. Like we've seen him a lot, but we've never seen him wrestle before. So let's talk about him. He was also born in April. Weird, all these April babies. April 7th of 1951. So that brings him, he died at the age of 72, just like a year ago, like a year and a month ago, February 28th of 2024. So yeah, 72, that's not that old to me.
Yeah, no. And I think he had been having some complications that were kept private for a long time.
Got it. Well, he was 39 on this pay-per-view. He looks great. Would have never thought that. But the last pay-per-view we'll see him wrestle on is WCW Uncensored 1999. So obviously we've got him around for a while, but his real name is Michael Charles Jones, which that's like 3 very generic names in a row.
Yes.
So I would understand. I'm going to be Virgil. No one else has that name. I get it. He started training for wrestling in 1985 after a chance meeting with Tony Atlas. Pretty cool.
Wild.
I know. And the rumor is he got the name Virgil as a dig at Dusty Rhodes, whose real name is Virgil. But this has since been disputed by Bruce Pritchard, which I don't know. I kind of think he just made up. Maybe he was like, hey, I love you, Dusty Rhodes. I'm going to be Virgil. Like
well,
maybe it
what's
wasn't a bad
funny
thing.
Is once he finally did go over to WCW, they named him Vincent to dig at Vince McMahon.
Ha! That's funny. Well, Dustin Rhodes looks so freaking good. Like, and the thing is, I have never, ever thought he resembles Dusty at all until seeing this match. Like, they look so similar here.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Dustin looks significantly bigger than Cody here. Like I Googled it, and Google has Dustin Rhodes at 6'6", and they have Cody Rhodes at 6'2", which that's obviously like a 4-inch height difference, but I don't know. There's something about Dustin that just looks way more massive than Cody.
Well, they're only half brothers. Dustin's mom was Andrea the Giant.
That's dumb. That's dumb.
I'm just saying. Hey, Virgil is wearing his customary vest and bow tie with no shirt. Quite the look. But from behind, it looks like a halter top. So I'm like, Virgil's taking a cue from Debbie Lynn, stepping out.
Yes. And can we just talk about the fact that Debbie Lynn is Debbie Lynn again because she split from Honky Tonk Man?
Oh, that's right. And dyed her hair again. And everybody, this is Greg Valentine we're talking about. Anyway, go on.
And it's hard to get from black hair to blonde. I know that. So, but yeah, I liked that the young guys started off this match. Like he threw like Virgil and Dustin in there, and they kind of just let Dusty and Ted DiBiase just kind of like hang back. And man, Dustin was like manhandling Virgil. Like it was bad. But then Big Ted, he's like, all right, come on, kid, out of the ring. Let me handle it for you. But Dusty got really protective of Dustin, and I loved that.
Yeah, and that's built-in storytelling right there. Like you don't even have to try. But very early in the match, we see dissension in the ranks. Like each time that Virgil gets beat up, Ted meets him outside and just gripes at him and calls him names and even slaps him. But Virgil's just taking it, like he's staying pretty stoic about it, being just kind of seems a little bit more embarrassed and a little bit more pissed off each time.
Yeah, well, Dustin, he takes a beating in this match. Like from freaking cheating Virgil and Ted. But again, the dynamic of like Dusty kind of hanging back, but being the protective dad, wanting to step in was great. But like Dustin, he was like obviously the 21-year-old who's going to take all the bumps in this match.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, for the second show in a row, Dusty is no longer wearing the polka dots. And I guess Vince finally realized that people are going to love Dusty no matter what. You're not going to embarrass him. He's going to get over.
Which I'm like, why are you hating Vince? Like, you have a guy who's super over. Like, good, deal with it.
Yeah.
So Virgil, he accidentally hits Ted DiBiase with a clothesline, and Ted is just like pissed, and he throws him outside of the ring. And I'm like, oh, are they gonna break up over this, or is he just gonna take it? I didn't know what was gonna happen, but Dusty, he is just like gaining momentum at this point. I'm like, oh yeah, Dusty's gonna win this, but just in time. I thought too soon, because Ted DiBiase rolled him up for a pin, and Ted DiBiase and Virgil won the match in 9 minutes and 55 seconds, which I could have stood for a longer match. I kind of think this was the best match on the show to me, maybe just because I was so excited to see Dustin, or because the story was so good. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this was a great example of great storytelling in just a 10-minute match. Like, you don't need all the time in the world to do that. And they showed that here. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I needed this way more than Coco Beware and the Mountie.
Yeah.
Like this makes sense to be on a pay-per-view. Yeah. So after the match, DiBiase gets on the mic, and of course we're all like, oh no, but it's attached to a wire. And it is so funny to me because I'm still not over that.
Yeah.
But he's kind of gloating about his win, especially with it being over Dusty. And this crowd starts chanting Virgil's name, which little surprising, but like Virgil was so excited in that moment, like hearing a chant with his name for the first time. But Ted says, Virgil, you're an idiot. Get my $1 million belt, get in this ring, and put it around my waist now. And like, I'm sitting on my couch like, oh, yeah, take that. So Virgil is just giving Ted DiBiase this death glare, right? And Ted just keeps yelling, now, I'm not paying you to take your time. And Virgil, he slowly walks over to the belt and gets up in the ring. And I'm like, yes, this is the timing thing I was talking about, like with the whole reveal of Ric Flair. And I was like, they got to get timing better. This is how you do it. So he walks over to the belt, gets up in the ring, and he ends up just throwing the belt down on the canvas. And it is so funny because as soon as it happened, I don't know if you caught this, there was a like security worker in the arena. He got so excited. I guess he's the number one Virgil fan, but he cheered and went running through the frame, and everyone in the crowd is watching him laughing. It's so funny because he was just like, yeah, and took off running, and everyone's heads turned and watched it. It was very funny.
That guy got fired that night.
I know, right? Crowd goes wild. DiBiase demands that Virgil pick that up and put it around his waist, and he reminds Virgil about his family and his mother. So Virgil drops down to one knee, and we're all like, oh, is he apologizing? No, don't do that, Virgil. DiBiase turns his back and keeps talking, which causes the crowd to tell Virgil he should do the obvious. And so when Ted starts to turn around, Virgil hits him over the head with the belt. Yes, the crowd goes wild again. And even Roddy is going crazy on commentary, which, I mean, that's not really like I don't know why I was like even Roddy, because Roddy goes crazy for everything. But Virgil throws the belt at DiBiase, who is on the ground, and slowly leaves the ring. That was some great storytelling.
And you know what I loved is you mentioned that like this is probably the first time Virgil heard chants for himself. When after he's hit him with the belt and the crowd's going nuts for him and chanting his name again, if you watch, you could see him trying not to smile.
Aw, that makes me happy. I really like that. Yeah, that's cool. Well, Mean Gene is backstage with Hulk Hogan, and this was weird. He says that his Hulkamaniacs need to unite, but then at the same time, he says they're stronger than ever now. And I'm like, so do they need to unite, or are they stronger than ever? I'm very confused. But he says that the troops are behind him, and so he's dedicating this match to them. And he's going to scratch and crawl. He's going to scratch and
Sure.
claw his way to the top and win the Rumble. And Mean Gene gets a message in his earpiece at this point that Sergeant Slaughter is defacing an American flag. And that pisses Hogan off. I mean, obviously that is something that would go in your earpiece while you're on live television.
Of course.
But it pisses him off like so much that he starts like bumbling over his words a little bit. Like
great.
I was like, what are you trying to say? I mean, he kind of saved it, but I was like, he's stuttering. I don't know what he was trying to say.
He goes, Sergeant Slaughter's race is going to be just like you know what I'm saying, brother. Just like Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. I mean, Hulk doesn't like lose his words or anything. Like he's pretty, I guess professional is an okay word to use, but yeah, it was funny. But then he compared Sergeant Slaughter's title reign to Saddam Hussein because, you know, a wrestling title is totally the same as a terrorist. Okay.
Well, yeah. Come on.
Oh gosh, I'm so sick of these backstage interviews. So let's go back to the arena for our main event, the Royal Rumble.
Yes, it is a Royal Rumble match. 30 participants. And we should say, we noted this last week at the end of the show. This is the final time that the Royal Rumble will not have any official stakes, any official prize for the winner. From here on out, all the way until today, 2025, the winner gets something for it. So we all know how it works. Over the top rope, both feet touch the floor, you lose. So let's get into it. Entrant number one.
Did you notice that they didn't tell us the rules of the Rumble?
You know, you're right. They usually had Fink do that, and they didn't do that this time.
They did not. And so I was like, what if you're new? You don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's interesting. Well, entrant number one is Bret the Hitman Hart, who at the time was co-holder of the WWF Tag Team Championship. On his way to the ring, Bret looks at the camera and says, "Number one." Not sure if he was like bragging or if he's just reminding us of his entrant number. I'm number one.
I think it's both. I think he was like, I got number one because I am number one.
Well, he needs to rework his contract then. Entrant number two, Dino Bravo. He should have looked at the camera and said, number two.
No, Macaroni Head can't do that. But Gorilla says neither of these guys could win the Rumble. Like, what? Yeah. What are you talking about? It's Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, okay, on Dino, but Bret the Hitman Hart, like, if you would have told me he was going to win from being number one, going to win, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I believe that.
Yeah, like way to kill the tension, Gorilla. That's fantastic. You know who might disagree with that, though? The man on the outside, keeping law and order, as he does for seemingly only Royal Rumble matches, Shane O'Mac. Shane McMahon, he's on the outside again.
Do you think we'll see him again in wrestling?
Oh, maybe one day. Maybe.
Well, I mean, he needs to hurry it up. I mean, he's losing valuable time.
You mean today?
Yeah.
I don't think he can go the rest of his life without popping up in some form again.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, entrant number three is Greg the Hammer Valentine. And almost immediately after that, old Debbie Lynn eliminates Macaroni Head Dino Bravo. He's already out of there.
Man, our nicknames, like if you've never listened to us before, you're like, who the hell are
Well, you remember what we used to call Virgil Virgil?
Virgil, yes. I forgot about that. I feel that we do need to note that Debbie Lee and Greg Valentine, he roughed up Jimmy Hart. Like, good for her, because he's concentrating on the Rumble, but he's still going to be like, I'm going to rough you up, Jimmy Hart.
Well, Dino should rough up Jimmy too, because he was wearing an earthquake jacket. Like, way to support your guy, Jimmy.
It's
real
true.
Nice.
It's true.
Well, entrant number four, half of Power and Glory, Paul Roma, and they're managed by Slick now. Like, that's new, and it's also odd. I don't know how I feel about that.
I can't keep straight who's managing who at this point because it's changing a lot and fast. Like every show, someone has a new manager.
Well, and think about the managers who are on the outside throughout this match, like Jimmy Hart, Mr. Fuji, Slick, Bobby Heenan. There's a lot.
Basically all of them.
A thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bret is halfway over the ropes and women are going nuts. No, not Bret. Bret the Heartthrob Hart. Am I right?
I mean, he was good looking. Not going to lie. He really was. Yeah.
Well, way up at the top of the arena, there are those monitor walls. Do you remember these? They were usually about 16 TV monitors put together to make one big picture. When I was a kid, I wanted one of these so bad to watch wrestling in my bedroom on.
Yes. And who would have thought that just as an adult, you can have one TV that big, not a bunch of different little TVs,
Yeah. It was just this season that Jeopardy switched from actually having a bunch of different monitors to just one huge one.
Just now?
Just now.
I
Now
guess
there were flat screens and high def and everything, but now it is just one big screen. Isn't that crazy?
I'm sure that's easier, but I think they wanted I think Alex Trebek liked it a certain way. And so he was like, "No, wait till I'm gone."
That could be because a lot of things changed when Bob Barker left The Price is Right, too.
Right.
So,
Right.
entrant number 5, the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah, and he sure did look good when he came out. Like he looked a foot above the rest.
Oh, jeez.
I want to see it.
Well, you know what? He was running out and add some face paint, and it totally could have been the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, that's right.
Completely. But do you think he wore those streamers around his boots so nobody could tell that one of them was a little like floppy or like off? Like seriously.
I mean, floppy. Sorry, that was just really funny. I don't know why I'm so tickled by that. That or he was trying to feed the conspiracy because
Maybe.
I mean, I'm totally in on this conspiracy. 100% in.
Well, entrant number 6, Rick the Model Martel. And Piper keeps referring to Paul Roma as Romeo. And I wonder if that like kind of irked Vince because he's like always been so big on making these guys household names. I could see him being like, "God damn it, Piper, it's Paul Roma, not Romeo."
I mean, Roma's a tomato, so I am so down with Romeo. And I mean, I don't know. I forget about Paul Roma. I'm not going to lie.
Well, most people do. But entrant number 7, oh boy.
Oh, Lord.
Saba Simba, a.k.a. the former Tony Atlas.
And it's ironic that his name is Simba because with all of the gear and like the loincloth, he looked like he was supposed to be in the Lion King off-Broadway tour across the street and he just got lost and wandered into the wrong venue.
Yeah, this is just part of that old wrestling thing where black guys are savages or something. And I don't, it's not just a wrestling thing. That was a trope for a long time in entertainment, unfortunately. But it's also ironic that Tony Atlas is barefoot here, considering, you know,
considering the Texas Tornado can't be barefoot and it's unfair.
No. Tony Atlas is well known to have a very big foot fetish.
He is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so him being barefoot here, like, I don't even want to think about it. It's just,
how do you know that? Was that on Dark Side of the Ring?
I don't think so. Like, I don't know how I knew. It's just like a known thing.
Who you been sending your feet pictures to, Justin? You're in this community, aren't you?
Nobody. I mean, not for money. Nobody.
Did you meet him in your support group?
Yeah, right. Entrant number 8, Bushwhacker Butch.
Yes. And Debbie Lynn, you stopped Bushwhacker Butch from bushwhacking. Like, she cut off his walk with a chop. Like, he comes in and he's walking around the ring and the crowd's all excited and then she just chops the hell out of him. I was like, come on, Greg Valentine, take out anyone else but the Bushwhacker. Come on.
Well, Saba Simba at that point is eliminated by Rick the Model Martel, and I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. Entrant number 9, Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake actually runs down the aisle like out of everybody. I expected him to take his time, but he does as he promised, heads right for Rick Martel.
Yeah, because, he's our chill guy. He's the one that doesn't ever get like super excited for anything. But either Rick Martel has a very white butt and it's peeking out from under his trunks, or his muffler is slipping.
Oh,
seriously, it looked like he had like a maxi pad and it was showing, or it was just his really white butt tan line. Did you see that?
I somehow missed that. I was focusing on other things.
Well,
but
I saw
promised
this white thing sticking out.
I think our focus is different.
It was distracting.
Well, speaking of white, it looks like Jake's eye, which was completely white on the last pay-per-view, has healed up completely from the horrible thing of, let me check my notes, being sprayed with perfume. Lord, it's a miracle he's healed.
He got a cornea transplant.
Corny, I'm not on this show. I'm in NWA. Anyway, entrant number
He's
10.
not even on there anymore.
No,
he's starting his own gig.
Entrant number 10, Hercules. Nope, not a giant walking tub of Elmer's glue. It's Hercules.
I don't get it.
He's white.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, 10 guys in there and only 2 eliminations so far. It's like the restroom at a prostate clinic.
Ooh, I wouldn't know, and I'm so glad about that. But no, you're right pointing that out, because there were times in this Rumble where I was like, there's too many guys. We need some eliminations. Like, this is getting too messy for me.
Yeah. Well, the crowd is counting down the clock every single time, and we just need the entrance music added. And now I'll feel like, okay, like we're here. We're at what the Rumble is, right?
Right. I really want to Google when we start getting music.
I think it's soon. I think it's really soon. Good. But entrant number 11, Tito Santana.
Yes, and he got a huge crowd reaction. They love him. Did you notice that?
Yes, they were solidly behind him. Tito and Martel are going at it, still holding a grudge from their tag team days as Strike Force, or maybe because Rick beat Tito in that modeling tournament. Still no idea how that works. But Paul Roma is eliminated by himself. I don't know. Jake Roberts ducked a clothesline and Paul went over. So I guess that's how that works.
Yeah, because technically Jake didn't eliminate him. He just...
Right. He facilitated the elimination.
I like that. Yeah, let's go with that.
Yes. Entrant number 12, The Undertaker.
And I am loving his gray leg warmers and his hair. Yes. It's extra red and like bouncy. Like, I was like, is that Reba Day?
Deborah Jean, or whatever that woman's name. Barbara Jean.
Barbara Jean. Oh my God, I love that show.
Bret Hart is eliminated by Undertaker, who grabs Bret with both hands by the neck and lifts him up and just deposits him on the outside. It was great.
That was the only person I was going to allow to eliminate Bret.
Fair.
So I'm glad it happened that way.
Fair. Entrant number 13, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, who does us a favor and hoots all the way down the aisle. Very great. Bushwhacker is eliminated by The Undertaker. Are you okay with that one too, since it was Taker?
Yeah, I'll be okay with that one. Yeah.
Okay. Entrant number 14, the British Bulldog, formerly Davey Boy Smith of the British Bulldogs, but since Dynamite Kid is no longer around, he's now just the British Bulldog. At this point, Undertaker is in danger of being thrown out, and Gorilla refers to Brother Love and says, and he can take that fat piece of garbage with him. Like, Gorilla, dude, you ain't exactly the poster child for Jenny Craig at this point. Call him fat.
Jenny Craig, does that still exist?
Wow. I don't know. Entrant number 15, Demolition Smash. And now we are halfway through the entrance. And I realize this is why I love watching these old Rumbles, because it's like my whole childhood all in one ring.
Yeah, you're right. And especially when they're not doing any eliminations, they're really all in one ring.
Yeah. Well, Jake the Snake Roberts is eliminated by his nemesis, Rick Martel. We have not, seen the last of those two guys together. Entrant number 16 from the Legion of Doom / Road Warriors, Hawk. And Hawk runs in and he runs around the ring, hitting everybody with a punch. Boom, you get a punch. Boom, you get a punch. Boom, you get a punch. And then they gang up on him and beat him down. Well, yeah, Hawk. Like, if you run into a place and start hitting people, they will team up to hit you back. That's not a wrestling rule. That's a life rule. You're welcome.
Fully agree. Fully.
Yeah. Entrant number 17, Shane Douglas, formerly of the Dynamic Dudes. Now, he did not bring Johnny Ace with him or his skateboard, both of which have been proven to be useless. Texas Tornado is eliminated by Undertaker. Taker's racking him up here. Jimmy Snuka is eliminated by Hawk, and we are on to entrant number 18. And the countdown happens, and nobody comes out.
Yeah,
nobody comes out.
Yeah, he didn't enter. And like, I feel like we saw a glimpse of Animal because he's number 19. And like the lights, like we saw a glimpse of him and like, oh shit, it's not me. And he backs up. And then
I didn't see that. That's funny though.
Oh yeah.
No. Well, Gorilla and Piper are confused, and they say that they have the list of entrants in front of them, but they won't say who it was supposed to be. So this was weird, right? And Piper does point out that number 18 has until the countdown starts for the next entrant, but number 18 never shows up. We'll find out who it is here in a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. That was weird.
All right. Entrant number 19, as you just said, is Animal from the Legion of Doom. Right about that time, once Animal gets to the ring, he and Hawk team up to eliminate The Undertaker. He's out of there. And here's what's weird is Undertaker gets eliminated. Of course, he lands on his feet like he always does, but he gets in Shane McMahon's face. 25 years after this, they would face each other at WrestleMania.
Boof. Mind explosion. Like,
Isn't
what?
that crazy? Like,
and what's crazy is like they main evented 25 years after this. They were already grown adults. So like, what? Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, shortly after that, Road Warrior Hawk is unfortunately eliminated by Rick Martel and Hercules. We're on to entrant number 20 now, who is Crush from Demolition.
Yes, and at this point, Roddy, I guess he's referring to Rick Martel, obviously, but he says, forget arrogance. He could be modeling endurance. Thanks, Roddy. Thanks.
Rick Martel, he's going the distance here. Entrant number 21, an old favorite, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho! Duggan brought out a 2x4, then dropped it before running to the ring. And you just know that backstage, some poor PA was like, I went all over town trying to find a 2x4, getting it cut down to the right length. And he just drops it 5 seconds in. Like, I'm going to get Jake Snake next time.
Jake Snake. Bathe him in the shower.
yeah, with his mouth open. Anyway, entrant number 22, Big Earthquake. And he gets to work almost immediately, eliminating Road Warrior Animal. And Earthquake's going to do some damage in this match.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a big, it was very telling having Earthquake come in and so easily eliminate Animal, because you look at Earthquake and you're like, he's much squishier than Animal. You would think Animal would be the one taking him out, but he is a natural disaster. So, and no one can escape that.
And a future Hall of Famer coming up this weekend. Yep. Entrant number 23, Mr. Perfect. And of course, he's out there with Bobby Heenan. And of course, Perfect throws his towel over his shoulder and Bobby catches it like they were just one person. It's amazing every time. It feels like at this point, they're speeding up the timer a little bit. But Perfect is in a singlet instead of trunks. So all forgiven.
Yeah, I thought they were speeding it up too. And it's funny because every year when we watch the current Royal Rumble, I keep wanting to say WrestleMania, the current Royal Rumble, Mark always times them because he likes to see how much time it really is. And it's never accurate.
No. They definitely segment it now to like, all right, once we get done with this little bit, then do it. You know, they
exactly.
Yeah. Well, right when Perfect gets in, pretty much almost immediately, he eliminates Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Man, like, I feel like Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he deserved a better elimination than that. Like, Mr. Perfect literally just held down the rope and Jim Duggan kind of jumped over it. It was kind of like the Jake the Snake eliminating whomever because he just ducked. Like, I don't know. And
Duggan won the Royal Rumble before, remember? So it's like you would think he would know different. But anyway, entrant number 24, Hulk Hogan.
I was kind of surprised we didn't have his music. Like, I thought out of everyone, like, he would be the one to have music. Yeah, that's
a good point. Well, almost immediately, Demolition, Smash from Demolition. I don't know why I said it the wrong way. Anyway, he starts beating on Hulk Hogan, and you're like, well, we know how this is going to end. And Hulk Hogan then eliminates Smash.
Yes, and at this point, Earthquake starts beating the hell out of Hogan, and the crowd starts chanting. They're like, Hogan, Hogan. And I'm so confused. Like, why did they want him to win so badly? Like, he just won last year.
It's got to be the USA thing. That's the only thing I can think.
But Hacksaw just got thrown out, and he's very USA.
Right. You're right. I don't know. Well, entrant number 25, Haku.
Bless you.
Thank you. Right about that time, Greg Valentine, Debbie Leon, is eliminated by Hulk Hogan. And if you'll notice here, there have been some good guys beating up some good guys, and there have been some bad guys beating up bad guys, but no good guys ever touch Hulk Hogan this entire match. I found that interesting.
It's because he's a heel. They know.
They know, they know. Well, entrant number 26, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who is the other half of the WWF Tag Team Champions at the time. Weird moment here. Mr. Perfect is on the brink of throwing Hogan over, but Haku comes over and breaks it up. So, like, first, we've already talked about how dumb it is to interrupt any elimination. But second, why would Haku, a bad guy, keep Hogan, the biggest threat in this match, from being eliminated? Made no sense.
It made absolutely no sense. The only way I could see it making sense is if it was like Earthquake, because he's like, I want to be the one to take him out. Like, not
Right.
you, you know? Yeah, it was silly.
Well, Tito Santana is eliminated by Earthquake, and then we get entrant number 27, Bushwhacker Luke, who is immediately eliminated by Earthquake. But tell him what happened.
Yes. Okay, this is the best. Like, I think this is the best like thing I've ever seen, other than was it Titus that like just fell and
slid under the ring?
That was pretty great too. But so this is the best part of the whole Rumble. So Bushwhacker Luke comes in and he's marching, doing his arms to the ring. He gets, he goes into the ring. He's still marching in a circle, but immediately Earthquake just throws him out over the top rope, out of the ring, and he never misses a beat. He just keeps walking with his arms. He lands on his feet and just keeps walking and then goes right back to the back. It was so funny.
Oh, that was the best. The best. Well, entrant number 28, Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys. We literally just saw him a few pay-per-views ago on Halloween Havoc, and he looked exactly the same. But as we mentioned earlier, his partner, Jerry Saggs, had a dark match on this show, too. So they're now firmly in the WWF. Hercules is eliminated by Brian Knobbs, and we go to entrant number 29, the Warlord, who, without his entrance gear, it looked like Steve Austin running in the ring.
We've been saying that. Mark and I think I said it like 2 shows ago. I was like, he looks like Stone Cold now.
Yeah. Well, Crush of Demolition is eliminated by Hulk Hogan, and then the Warlord is eliminated by Hulk Hogan, and big number 30 hits the ring. It's Tugboat.
He's got we gotta talk about this Tugboat. He has a striped tank top on, and it's kind of like a swimsuit. But he looks like Francis from Pee-wee's Big Adventure when he's in the giant bathtub and Pee-wee like attacks him. That's what he reminded me of.
You know what I found out last night?
What?
My wife, who I adore.
Don't say it.
Who's my whole world. She's never seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Okay, Mark hadn't either, but I remedied that like 11 years ago, and now he loves it. And so you need to do some work, Justin. I know y'all have only been married like a year, but you need to do something about this because this is unacceptable.
I found that out last night, and I told her I might have to go find a hotel room for the night and just, yeah.
Well, and see, Mark had never seen Pee-wee's Playhouse either, and he always thought it was just kind of weird, which if you watch it, it is kind of weird. It is. Yeah. But still, I'm texting her after this. I'm going to reprimand her. That's horrible. So this moment right here in the Rumble is when commentary realizes that it was like Randy Savage. That was number 18. And they assumed that Ultimate Warrior ran him out of the building, which the last we saw of him was Sherry and him running out of the dressing or the locker room, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that whole thing was kind of weird.
Yeah. I maybe it's the timing of it. I don't know. It was presented a little bit weird, though. You're right. It was.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was weird.
Shane Douglas is eliminated by Brian Knobbs. And at this point, Piper says that 50 minutes inside that ring must be a living hell. And then he apologizes for his language, which is hilarious. It's just, it's kind of charming.
Yes.
I don't know. Tugboat is eliminated by Hulk Hogan. And they've been playing up how big of friends Tugboat and Hulk Hogan are. And to be fair, Tugboat did try to eliminate Hogan first and failed. But Hogan did eliminate Tugboat. Mr. Perfect is eliminated by the British Bulldog. Jim Neidhart is eliminated by Rick Martel. Haku is eliminated by the British Bulldog. And then Rick Martel is eliminated also by the British Bulldog. And with that elimination, Rick Martel now holds the record for the most time in the Rumble match, 52 minutes and 17 seconds.
Endurance indeed, because that is not easy.
Oh, no, that is a lot of work you're putting in for almost an hour. But that elimination also brings us to our final four. Hulk Hogan, the British Bulldog, Earthquake, and Brian Knobbs.
And now I sing one of these things is not like the other. Because why the
Yeah.
hell is a guy named Brian Knobbs in the final four?
He's such a knob. Anyway, very quickly after that, the British Bulldog is eliminated by Earthquake and Brian Knobbs. So now we kind of got two bad guys and one good guy. I don't know. Well, Earthquake and Knobbs beat down Hogan. And then once he's on the ground, Earthquake hits the teabag or aftercock or aftershock. But as the bad guys celebrate, Hogan, having just been squashed by like a 400-pound man, pops right up like nothing happened. So awesome.
And he was right in the mush, too. That's my favorite thing.
The push.
Right in the mush is my favorite.
Brian Knobbs is eliminated by Hulk Hogan. Now, I will say this. At this point, as a fan in 1991, I could have made the argument that either Hogan or Earthquake could win. Yeah. Like, Earthquake's been built up pretty well. But then Hogan hulks up. 3 punches, a big boot, a body slam, the final elimination. Earthquake is eliminated by Hulk Hogan, meaning Hulk Hogan wins the Royal Rumble in 65 minutes and 16 seconds. What'd you think?
Fine. And I'm not saying it's fine. It was fine. I'm saying fine. Like, I don't know. I don't like if anyone wins the same 2 years in a row, because Cody Rhodes did, right?
Yes.
I was thinking he won both Royal Rumbles to get his spot at WrestleMania. I didn't even love that, because to me, the Royal Rumble, maybe just, I look forward to it every year. And I always feel like it should go to someone like that. I don't know, like a Roxanne Perez, like she should win and get a big moment and stuff. But I'm just like, Hulk again, he was already going to like have a big main event. He's already in the main event, like picture and everything. Like, why? Like, I mean, I know there was no prize back then, but and
I think that's what changes things too, is when there is a prize attached to it, then you really do have to think, what makes the most sense for somebody to win this thing. So at least we're done with the relative this means nothing stuff. But it must have been really tight on time here, because Hogan grabs some signs from the crowd. He grabs Hogan signs and signs supporting the troops and does a little bit of posing, but not much, before Gorilla bids us good night from Miami. What are your final thoughts on Royal Rumble 1991?
The Rumble itself wasn't my favorite, but the show overall was pretty good. Again, didn't like that Mountie Coco match. Didn't make sense for me, but I thought the show as a whole was paced well. There was never a moment where I was bored. Where I was just like, oh my God, let's get through this. I thought the show overall was pretty good. I just thought the Rumble was a little, maybe just anticlimactic, and maybe because I knew Hogan was going to win that. I don't know. Yeah. What'd you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you're eating a bag of chips and there's one burnt one, you're still going to eat it, right?
I'm not.
I do. Hell yeah.
Oh no, that's the one that'll kill you. It's diseased. You didn't learn that as a kid?
Stop it. Whatever. What I'm trying to say is, it's still a Rumble. Like, even bad pizza is still pizza, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in that sense, sure, fine show. I'm with you. I have Hogan fatigue, which you will have from watching a pay-per-view every week, like we do. Mm-hmm. But really, my favorite things on the show were the opening tag match between the Rockers and the Orient Express, and then the Rhodes versus DiBiase and Virgil. And outside of those two, everything else was fine.
Fully agree. Well, let's talk about what happened after the show. So after the show, both Dusty and Dustin Rhodes left WWF. What? Dusty retired from in-ring competition, like, for the most part, but he was returning to the role of Booker in WCW while also doing commentary. And I feel like I feel like they need him to be booking over there, because what are they doing, Black Scorpion? We need Dusty Rhodes. Yeah. I'm guessing this isn't the last match we'll see with Dusty, though, right?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So after the Ultimate Warriors lost to Sergeant Slaughter, he started a feud with Randy Savage. Duh. I feel like that wasn't even after his loss. That was during the match that he started that feud. But it would all lead to a career versus career match at WrestleMania later this year, which is going to be so fun.
Ooh.
I know. So Hulk Hogan was named as the number one contender for Sergeant Slaughter's WWF Championship, which is that because he won the Rumble? Like
Loosely, like I think it was kind of like, well, I won the Rumble, I should be the number one contender type thing.
right. Well, and now I'm kind of confused because wasn't Savage going for that title, but he's just going to say, forget that. I'd rather go kill Warrior instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, the rule that the Royal Rumble winner would become the official number one contender would not become official. I'm going to say official a million times. It wouldn't be an official thing until 1993. So,
Which leaves 1992.
so what
Next
happens
year.
in 92?
You know what? I'll just go ahead and say it. The WWF Championship was vacant. So the winner became champion.
Ooh,
and
cool.
The Rumble 92 pay-per-view as a whole, but specifically the Rumble match as well, is known as one of, some say, the best Rumble pay-per-view of all time.
Oh my God.
I really can't wait until we get to the next Rumble.
Can we please just skip all the others and go right to the this can be a Wrestle Rumble and we just talk about the Rumbles. That's it. Yeah. Funny. Well, before we wrap this up, Justin, hit me with some more
Wrestle stats.
We got Wrestle stats. This was the final appearance in a match on pay-per-view for one guy, Saba Simba, Tony Atlas. We'll see him around here and there and doing other things, but as far as pay-per-view matches go, he's done with a record of 0-2-0. Poor Tony. Anyway, the rest of the wrestle stats. Now, remember, we're only talking about talent who we are going to see in a match again on pay-per-view. So anybody who's done, we don't count those. So with the most wins, well, Hulk Hogan, he ticks up by one. He has 15 wins on pay-per-view now. With the most losses, well, he also ticks up by one. That's Tito Santana. And win the Rumble match. He's up to 12 losses on pay-per-view at this point. The number of rematches that we've seen on pay-per-view, there were no rematches on this show. So out of the 319 matches we've watched, only 22 of them are rematches. So that's a percentage of about 6.9%. And title matches, there was only one on this show. So that percentage went down to 99 title matches out of 319 matches, means a percentage of about 31%. If you dig those stats, at Wrestle Stats on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, on Threads, on TikTok, all those places, you can see current stats almost every single day of the week for modern wrestling. And Michelle, you have some social media too. The people, they need it. They want it.
They need it. Okay, well, if you want to talk to Justin and myself, you have a specific comment about the show, maybe you can contact us at Wrestle Recap. You might get Justin responding. You might get me. You never know. You can even comment on our YouTube channel. Again, you don't know who you're going to get. But if you just want to talk to me, you're like, I don't want to talk to Justin. He does that weird neckbeard voice. You can tweet me at Michelle Tater. Over there, I talk about just about everything. And yeah, I will pretty much answer any question you want. That's crazy. Especially, I get a lot of stuff about ghost hunters. So that's a big thing. But yeah, tell me what we have in store for next week, brother.
Next week, we're going back to WCW, which is now officially its own thing now. WCW having broken away from the NWA for WCW Wrestle War 1991. 10 matches, 3 of them title matches. For the first time in years, you will actually see a women's match.
Who is it? Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
I won't tell you. You won't know them anyway because I don't. And if I may impersonate one William Regal, the main event, War Games.